Let's play! Whoa!
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. You all may call me Pharaoh, and welcome to the final bonus episode of Let's Play Neo, The World Ends With You. Last time we left off, you all saw me go through the hell that was Another Day. Well, really, it's not bad, it's just all the extra stuff that I was doing, including going through the Rhymes Dive, which consists of like 10 really hard battles, the time trial, which I just cheesed and just put it on easy, and of course, dealing with the secret boss, or the super boss, Pharaoh Cantus. That was fun. So, I did all that, and off-screen, I went ahead and finished off everything else that I needed. You'll see here that I have all my music, because I did buy it on-screen, but I have all the pins. Like, the ones I was really missing were some of the few at the stores, and same thing with the threads. They were just at the stores, and they needed that, this pin right here, this Fermion. Same thing with this Dibarion and Dilaton, Axion. The thing is, what's funny, I guess, is the game gives you exactly enough of these 4 items to trade to get various items. So, if you're missing something, go back, do the side missions. You know what? There was one I got on accident. I forgot what chapter it was. It was one of the Scramble Slams, and toward the end of it, you can have a choice if you want to split up or stay together. On camera, I decided to split up. However, when I stay together, it's more work, but at the end of it, you actually get like one of these. So, and don't forget, you also have to buy them at the 3rd floor Tokyo Hands shop at Tipsy Toes Hall. So, if you're missing any of these, look around there. And you should maybe have enough to buy the rest of the pins or threads. So, I did that off screen, so I'm all good there, 100% complete. I even mastered all these pins for no damn reason. The only thing I did not 100% is this Noisepedia, because the last 4 or like 5 bosses, I don't care for, you know, like I'm done. And by also doing everything, I got all my trophies. This game is now officially platinumed, and I love how I just kind of put it next to each other. We have our very first trophy and our very last trophy. This trophy ends with you, and it also unlocked the psychic rank of Uber Psychic. So that is all that. Today's video, what I wanted to do was go over the secret reports, all 24 of these secret reports, because this really gives us a lot more lore of what happened in the background of this game. And maybe it might answer questions, maybe not. And then apparently there is a secret ending. And I believe that unlocks after you get all the secret reports. You just have to beat the final chapter again. So, yeah. Let's start off by reading these secret reports. See what the hell it's all about. 30 years have passed since the game that caught the attention of the higher plane. Observation is still ongoing, but from the UG, it looks as if Shibuya is on the brink of catastrophe once more. I am forbidden from intervening in the game this time, so I'll have to settle for recording the changing state of both the RG and UG here in this report. The Executor first intruded on Shibuya 3 years ago. Originally from Shinjuku, this angel started a clandestine game with Shibuya's composer, which ultimately led to Shinjuku's destruction. He should have been reprimanded as soon as he arrived in Shibuya, but the elites are turning a blind eye for some reason, possibly because most higher plane denizens still oppose Shibuya's impurification. This game resembles said impurification in that it is subject to a set of extenuating circumstances, somehow keeping it in balance, which are as follows. 1. The difference of opinion and subsequent conflict on the subject of Shibuya's destruction. 2. The absence of the composer. 3. The game being played by 2 proxies. 4. Direct interference by the Executor. Neither the Executor, who wishes for Shibuya to be destroyed and purified, nor the composer, who has managed to prevent this up until now, can directly intervene on the goings-on of the UG. If they wish to take action, they must do so via proxy. The executor's proxy in this game is a conductor, Miyakaze, I should say, and the composer's is a human player, one Rindo Kanade. I will henceforth refer to Miyakaze as a conductor and Rindo Kanade as the proxy. Perhaps spurred by the appearance of the proxy, former Reaper Sho Minamoto has resumed activity after an extended period of silence. Furthermore, I'm picking up vibes similar to those emitting from Shinjuku just before its purification. They are still faint, but I will keep a close eye on them. So, I know it says like mysterious notes penned by an unknown author. More than likely, this is Joshua. Because if you guys don't know like who the hell this Joshua character is, it actually kind of tells you above these these little bios, but he is the composer of Shibuya. And I'm still a little bit confused about Hazuki. He's just brand new apparently, but he's a mysterious man, Shinjuku's purifier. He's the one who told Kubo to apparently destroy this, Shinjuku, but got pissed off when he was trying to do the same thing with Shibuya. So, yeah, there's that.
Think this through.
Excuse me. Let's continue here. Number 2. With a proxy in place of an acting composer, the game's affected in numerous ways, the most significant being the implementation of bogus rules by the conductor. One such rule is the division of players into teams, presumably adopted from Shinjuku's rulebook. Under the team system, whichever team earns the most points over the course of the week may choose to either continue playing or not. If they choose not to continue, they may return to the RG if they so desire. However, only the composer can send players back to the RG. The conductor has no right to implement such a rule and no ability to carry it out. As such, it is in the conductor's best interest for the winning team to choose to continue playing. To assure this will happen, he has allied himself with a team clearly intent on continuing the game indefinitely, the Ruinbringers. Each team's relative value is measured against the others using their scores, and a loss for the team is a loss for each individual within it. It is unclear when these rules were first implemented in Shinjuku, but what is clear is that they seem specifically designed to eliminate players counter to the objective of the game. Yeah, very much so. Now the thing is, we know that, the one who can bring them back to the RG, as I mentioned, is a conductor, not the composer, as they just mentioned. So, no, yeah, but the composer can do it, not the conductor. So, like for what's his name, for Shiba to say like, oh yeah, I can do it. No, big ass lie. So yeah. A new player has joined the proxy's team. The inability of the composer and myself, the producer, to intervene wait a minute, the inability of the composer and myself, the producer. So this is not Josh then writing this. The producer then. To intervene put Shibuya at a disadvantage, but this new recruit and Minamoto may help turn the tides. The team's new member, one Nagi Usui, is at once open-minded and closed off. Interestingly, this makes her the perfect foil to Tosai Furusawa. A healthy variety of personalities and abilities should benefit their team. The proxy has started using his powers in earnest. I can scarcely believe someone could have such a powerful latent ability. Latent powers are unique, naturally occurring abilities awakened by tuning vibes. These vibes originate from the higher plane and resonate with the soul of an individual, tuning them into their dormant powers. Incidentally, these vibes are the same ones required for travel between planes. It is highly unusual for multiple players of latent powers to appear in succession. I suspect the pins found in the RG may have imbued with tuning vibes for the express purpose of seeking out such individuals. The more hands the pins make their way into, the greater a chance of finding promising new players. However, the proxy's ability is a significant deviation from standard latent powers. It is far too dangerous. Now, if I could, I would have ensured it remained dormant for the sake of both the UG and the RG. It has the potential to not only warp, but demolish the lower plane's code. I wonder if the composer foresaw this and chose his proxy because of it. Maybe. So what exactly is the purpose of the Reaper's game? Let us review. The explicit goal of the game is to locate exceptional individuals. Players of superior imagination are elevated to the higher plane and made into reapers or angels to aid in the oversight of their region. The UG is located on a higher plane than the RG. It is understood to be the afterlife, as the soul is modulated and relocated to the UG upon the death of the body in the RG. However, the proxy and his fellows were brought into the UG unmodulated. They have already begun to suspect that something is amiss in respect to both themselves and the Ruinbringers. The Reapers should be fighting for their lives, same as the players, but Shibuya's internal Reaper hierarchy is at a total standstill. 3 years ago, Shibuya's acting composer and conductor carried out a game to determine Shibuya's fate. The events that unfolded are now known as Shibuya's impurification. The hierarchical freeze presumably stems from opposition to the impurification. I detected a new set of vibes in the UG at the end of the day. It seems those pins have awakened new powers within someone and modulated them for entry into the UG, just like the proxy. This time, it is someone the composer and I know quite well. Assuming they're talking about Neku, I believe. But I think I may know who the producer is. Their name is escaping me. A turf war called the Scramble Slam has just taken place. The Ruinbringers declined to participate. If they had, they surely would have won, leading to a decrease in overall morale. I suspect this little diversion, which pits players against each other in place of noise, exists purely for the entertainment of the conductor. This week marks the 104th game under the current conductor. I love 104th, 10-4, really? Okay. The Deep Rivers Society, the Varia Beauties, and the Pure Hearts have all been subject to at least 30 loops. They are beginning to show signs of fatigue, presumably sensing the impossibility of victory against the Ruinbringers. Perceiving the game as unwinnable has a marked negative effect on players' well-being. The Proxy's team may be able to avoid coming in last place, but the odds of them topping the Ruinbringers to claim victory are slim. Although, anything can happen in this game. They may surprise me yet. Minamoto has become aware of the Proxy's powers and seems to be plotting something. The Proxy's soul is beginning to change. Strangely, its evolution trends towards stagnation rather than development. It's almost as if the range of his vibes is shrinking. I believe this may be due in part to his readiness to adopt the opinions and values of others, mistakenly believing them to be his own. He seems to do this entirely unconsciously. He may never realize it is happening. Under ordinary circumstances, players in Shibuya's game pay an entry fee upon arrival, through which the composer offers them a chance to re-examine themselves. This game has no entry fee. The Shinjuku rules neither encourage nor allow for personal growth or change, making the game just that, a mere competition to collect points to prove one's worth. The Proxy's stagnant soul makes him the perfect user for his Latin ability. For better or for worse, he is able to maintain abnormally high levels of imagination, thereby increasing the accuracy of each replay. The pieces fit together almost too perfectly. I can only hope I'm overthinking things. Now, the whole thing about the entry fee, if you guys remember from the first game, that was a big part of the, plot of the first game and, the character growth. The big one being Shiki. Now, I never actually talked about Shiki. I was so big on her appearance because her entry fee was her appearance. What we saw her as in the first game, the red hair, very fashionable girl, that was her friend. She took on her appearance because she was never very confident in herself, and I forgot the whole story, but that's why I was so excited to see Shiki in this game, because that is her true self. So, there you go. The Deep River Society has been erased in accordance with the rules of the game. The souls of all members, including the leader, are gone. The erasure runs counter to the goal of judging each player's abilities, but it is unsurprising considering the conductor's intentions. Upon witnessing the erasure, the Proxy's vibes have weakened once again. His increasingly hardening emotional state may be cause for concern. As suspected, the individual who arrived in the Proxy's moment of need was the source of vibes I detected a few days ago. Oh, okay, so they're talking about Beat, I think, instead. It does not appear as if the composer had a hand in the sudden appearance of our old friend. In sharp contrast to the ever-active executor, the composer is seemingly biding his time. Although I am unable to make contact to confirm, I believe the reappearance of this particular individual works in Shibuya's favor. Minamoto, on the other hand, has all but vanished from the proxy's side. His noise refinery sigil drastically heightens his imagination, which may be why he can clearly recognize the proxy's abilities. Now, I have an idea of what he's planning. It's dangerous, but I have no way of stopping him. Incidentally, the noise refinery sigil is a reproduction copied from its original by a certain Reaper. Its completeness, or lack thereof, may be a factor in a subtle change in Minamoto's fundamental vibes. Which, if I'm not mistaken, I thought Coco had to do something with resurrecting Minamoto. I can't really remember too well. 4 teams remain: the Ruinbringers, the Pure Hearts, the Varia Beauties, and the Wicked Twisters. Only one may survive and emerge victorious. At long last, the game approaches its conclusion. According to Shinjuku's rules, incoming players' abilities must exceed the total average imagination of the current players for them to be allowed into the game. As the game continues and low-ranking teams are eliminated, the average rises, making it more and more difficult for newcomers to enter. With the Deep River Society gone, and the Wicked Twister's impressive Latin abilities, the average imagination has increased dramatically. Only an immensely powerful player could be pulled in at this point. It can be safely assumed that the game will continue to conclude with no more than a current set of players. The game will continue until the week after next at longest, but the conductor is yet to contact the composer. It is possible he is unaware of the higher plane's purification protocol. If all goes according to the conductor's plan, he himself will be the victor of this game. And I kind of like how they actually talked about the idea of, like, how come we haven't seen new teams come in as we joined in? It's because we were so damn good, we just forced everyone else out. Like, they couldn't enter, I guess. Our new arrival has joined the proxy's team almost as if filling the hole left by Minamoto. Daisuke Nojo Bito, also known as Beat, was a player in the game leading to Shibuya's impurification. His fortitude is remarkable, as is his soul and imagination. He should prove a powerful ally to the proxy. And yet, the proxy's soul remains stagnant. Or perhaps it would be more accurate to say it has stagnated further. I felt a similar shift 8 days ago when Minamoto joined the team. If this is the fundamental immaturity of the proxy's soul, it will be difficult to bring to light, unlike Neku's leading up to the impurification. The proxy initiated another replay today. The resulting drastic increase in planar distortions indicates that at this rate, an explosive increase is likely after only a few more uses. However, the proxy's pin is effectively absorbing the distortions, preventing the UG and lower planes from being affected at this time. All of the Reapers stationed in Shibuya, including the conductor, would ordinarily be referred to as Shibuya Reapers, but ongoing conflict has caused those from Shinjuku to be called Shinjuku Reapers. Shinjuku's inversion 3 years ago jump-started its purification, forcing the Reapers there to flee to Shibuya. An inversion happens when the boundary between the UG and the RG is destroyed, forcing a purification. It occurs, albeit incredibly rarely, when the composer and the conductor fail to agree on a purification. The composer's permission is not required for a Reaper to continue working in a new area. Such transfers are left up to the conductor. In this case, Shibuya's temporary conductors at the time authorized the transfer of all Reapers from Shinjuku to Shibuya. I detect no sign nor vibes of the Shinjuku conductor at present. I assume he was destroyed along with Shinjuku. Once a purification has begun, it is standard for the conductor to be invited up to the higher plane. There is almost no evidence of a mass personnel transfer after erasure of a conductor in the past. Upon reviewing the records, I managed to find 4 cases where the affected area had fallen into imbalance before its purification was decided. One of those cases is Shibuya's impurification. The composer should file a report on the circumstances leading up to Shinjuku's purification at some point, although I doubt he'll do a thorough job of it, considering his disinterest in the lower planes. With Shibuya's composer giving his tacit approval to the Shinjuku Reapers, Shibuya's Reapers have no choice but to follow the rules given to them. Regardless of the true circumstances, Shibuya Shiba Miyakaze has effectively become the conductor through legal means, as he was judged to be fit for the role. Relentlessness builds among the team leaders, and the proxy's psychological state is far from optimal. I can only hope he will last a week. The team's base groove is abnormally low. In a system built around teamwork, such irregularities are certain to have a major effect on the outcome of the game. A network called the RNS was created specifically for the game. The ease with which it measures each individual's vibes and imagination makes it a useful tool for the management for both players and Reapers. However, making this information viewable also makes it accessible from the RG. It can only be found by those who know of the UG's existence and are sufficiently proficient with networks. No modulation is required to communicate between planes this way, though it is yet unclear if other issues arise as a result. It's possible that communicating through the network could inhibit imagination, just as the full meaning of imagination of a work of art cannot be captured on a screen. I'm no longer active as Cat, but if and when I resume, I must keep in mind how my works will be perceived when shared digitally, and alter my methods of expression accordingly. Perhaps the developer of the RNS could provide me with some insight in that regard. Okay, so yeah, it is the guy I'm thinking about, because I believe they were also the same author in the last game of the Secret Reports. The problem is his name is completely escaping me, and he did not make any form of appearance, period, of this game, unless none that I noticed. So unless somebody wants to correct me on that, but there you go. There had been a change in the proxy's psychological state, as well as an improvement to relations between the members of his team. This is good news. However, the proxy's soul remains stagnant as ever. I have yet to fully analyze the stagnation, as I am currently unable to take any action beyond observing and hoping for the best. By Shinjuku rules, Reapers are limited in the actions that they may take. Of course, obstructing players is not allowed on a basic level. The primary enemies that players face are other players, namely those on opposing teams. Thus, any team aiming for the top must go through the Ruinbringers. The proxy and his team are taking a different approach against their seemingly unbeatable Ruinbringers. To what extent it goes against the rules of the game remains to be seen. I doubt the conductor will sit idly by and let them do as they please. If he is forced to make a move, things will either end very well or very poorly. As previously stated, Reapers are not allowed to interfere in the game, and yet one of them is currently doing just that. It's possible that her Reaper status will be stripped from her, but where will that leave her once the game is over? I believe speaking about Shoka there. The leader of the Pure Hearts, one Motoi Anazawa, has gotten himself into a dire predicament. While alive and online, he found himself a loyal follower in the proxy. If Motoi Anazawa is to face erasure, it would likely have a significant effect on the proxy, though to what extent remains to be seen. Online communication can result in negative or positive outcomes, just the same as face-to-face communication. However, the opacity and anonymity accompanying digital communication leaves its participants more susceptible to misunderstanding. It must have been quite a shock for the proxy to see Motoi Anazawa's true nature, which was invisible to him online. As predicted, Shoka Sakurane has been demoted from Reaper to Player as punishment for meddling in the game and directly assisting players. Reapers face very few restrictions on the RNS. They may interact with the RG freely so long as they do not reveal their identities, but should they be demoted, their account is deleted and a separate player account takes its place. With her old account deactivated, Shoka Sakurane is no longer able to interact with the proxy as his online friend unless she chooses to reveal herself as such. She has aided the proxy via messaging up to now, but with that option no longer available to her, her next course of action is unclear. The conductor has made his intentions known to the players. Although it would be impossible for him to carry out his goal of destroying Shibuya merely as a conductor, he believes himself to be the executor as well, sent from the higher plane to purify the city. The Pure Hearts have been erased as expected. Only 2 teams remain, discounting the Ruinbringers. With the Runebringer's true nature revealed, it is likely that the rules will change next game to reflect that the players stand to oppose the Reapers rather than each other. I have detected unique vibes emanating from a certain inanimate object. Yeah, I found it odd that the old stuffed animal should show up, but as it turns out, it is temporarily housing a disordered soul. Shinjuku's conductor saved the soul it contains, paying the price of his own erasure. Really? Wait, Shinjuku's conductor saved a soul it contains... Yeah, wow. Huh, okay. An angel's power is needed to free the captive soul, but there is still... excuse me. There's still no sign of the composer, and I am forbidden from meddling in the game. I doubt the executor would be willing to help, considering he is most likely trapped there to begin with. Our only available options are to leave the soul in prison or locate someone else with the means to release it. I suspect the original creator of the stuffed animal, a player who managed to return to the RG 3 years ago, would be able to assist. Unfortunately, she is currently absent from Shibuya. Talking about Shiki there. For a second, I thought that this whole thing about, like, oh, an angel needs to free the soul. I'm like, holy crap, is Shiki an angel? That's a plot twist. But no, at least I don't think so. The game's rules have changed significantly. Players, as well as Reapers or even the conductor, may erase their opponents after defeating them. Now, at the same time the rules changed, Shiba made an unforeseen move against Shibuya. An inversion is underway. Oops. The noise released by the conductor have destabilized the code of the entire Shibuya region. The lower planes, including the UG and RG, are particularly unsteady. The code is a set of laws that binds together the souls that make up all of existence. Think of it as the screws which hold everything together. Some of Shibuya's screws are loose, and others have been removed altogether, leaving nothing to support the city but its own weight. In other words, Shibuya is on the brink of collapse. The deterioration of the boundary between the RG and UG is being hastened by a rapidly multiplying noise. If the boundary is lost, the city will be torn apart and purified. There are many in the higher plane who believe normal purification has no meaning as it maintains the existing planar framework. However, it is generally agreed that inversions should not be utilized due to the complete loss of character the affected area undergoes as its framework is destroyed and rebuilt. And yet the composer maintains his silence as Shibuya faces the same fate as Shinjuku before it. While Shibuya has undergone drastic changes, the proxy's psychological state is surprisingly stable. This could be interpreted as positive personal growth, as he has come to understand the situation he has been placed in, as well as what actions to take in response. Shoko Sakurane has joined the proxy's team. Her extraordinary powers should make her a fine addition. One of the Shinjuku Reapers have been eliminated. I suspect the conductor saw this coming. Angels emit vibes strong enough to alter the minds of those in the lower planes. Reportedly, many Shinjuku Reapers have sensed a change in Shiba Miyakaze's personality over time. I wonder how he will feel about all this after the executor leaves and allows him to return to his former self. The proxy has now used the replay ability 8 times, his pin absorbing the resulting planar distortions and changing appearance of each use. At present, there are no apparent adverse effects. I am concerned about the physical changes to the proxy's pin. It may indicate some kind of fundamental difference from the other pins. Oops. Perhaps replay isn't a Latin ability at all. It is far too powerful and would make much more sense as a gift bestowed upon the proxy via the pin. The player pins were almost certainly made by the executor. As an angel, he would be able to prepare special pins at will. It is unclear when and how the proxy acquired his pin. Logically, it must have been on the day he arrived in the UG. All I know for certain is that several factors influencing the proxy's fate were in play that day. In any case, to give him such a pin knowing he is the composer's proxy would be either incredibly brave or incredibly insolent. The Varia beauties had been erased. This is a major blow to the proxy's team, as Kanan Tachibana provided them with vital emotional support. Tosei Furusawa's soul is clearly the most heavily affected, despite his fundamental evasiveness and unwillingness to show his true feelings. Once experience leads one to hold a certain belief, it is difficult to alter that mindset. This often leads to bitterness and anguish. I wonder just how much of this bitterness Tosei Furusawa will be able to bear facing. The answer may very well depend on the proxy and his teammates. Still, this is no time for idle talk. The proxy's team is the only one left. The conductor is oddly fixated on the team's unstable state. I would go so far as to say he seems more concerned with his enemies than the battle itself. As events unfold, it is not unthinkable that he might join forces with the proxy. With the conductor's plans laid bare, every Reaper, particularly the Shibuya Reapers, will be forced to choose a side. Some of them who know that what I am occasionally try to contact me, but I cannot respond. The Shibuya Reapers will need to grow and adapt if they are to overcome this. Yeah, okay. This really paints who this person is, if you guys remember from the first game. My old cafe on Cat Street, the one that served as my base 3 years ago, is always open to them. I hear that some drop by on occasion. Notably, the faint vibes I felt from Shinjuku have returned to their full former strength. Someone is coming. Someone who can help decide Shibuya's fate. Neku Sakuraba has returned to Shibuya. As I suspected, the vibes I picked up 17 days ago were his. Oh, maybe so they weren't beats. I can't remember. Being the last team standing has provided the Wicked Twisters of a sense of unity, but Daisuke Nojo Bito appears to believe it is his sole responsibility to carry the team. I can't say he was wrong in his actions toward Minamoto, but the fact remains that he most likely would have been erased by the X-Reaper had Neku not arrived. The team has narrowly avoided disaster. Let's hope they can carry on that momentum. Minamoto's focus was purely on the planar distortions when he turned half noise and went berserk. He may not be able to clearly measure the distortions from Yuji, but that he can sense them at all is an impressive feat. I suspect he's also becoming aware of the distortions within himself, along with the fact that these distortions should be undetectable from the Yuji. Minamoto seems to have come to the same conclusion I have. Replay is too powerful an ability to be wielded by one from the lower planes. I am beginning to piece together the Executor's plans. One more thing that concerns me is the proxy's soul. Its stagnation has returned in full force just when it seemed that it might finally fade away. There might be some cause for this, be it that proxy's fear of Minamoto or uncertainty surrounding his own interpretations of Neku. Or his own interactions, I should say. Neku Sakuraba has joined forces with the proxy. The composer had sent him from Shibuya into Shinjuku during its purification, presumably to have him handle the situation there and keep him isolated and safe from those who would target him for his abilities. As for the proxy, his soul remains stagnant. I have yet to identify what exactly is preventing its growth. This would be much simpler if I could just sit down and talk with him. After repeated demands, I finally obtained a report on Shinjuku's purification. On the surface, the game involved a conflict between the conductor and the Reapers. In actuality, the composer, eager to purify Shinjuku, planted the Executor amongst the Reapers to oppose and take down the conductor. This explains why the conductor was erased and the Reapers transferred to a new area. Sugumi Matsune had her suspicions about the Executor, so he sealed her soul away to be safe. She was once a Reaper, though the Executor removed her status after she allied herself with her older brother, Shinjuku's conductor. Okay. Huh. Well, we're learning some backstory a little bit. In Shinjuku, to lose your Reaper status is to be erased. Knowing he was defeated, Shinjuku's conductor used the last of his strength to save his sister's soul in a stuffed animal. That stuffed animal belonged to one Shiki Misaki. A Shibuya Reaper must have taken it to Shinjuku. As a result, Sugumi Matsune became the lone survivor of Shinjuku's purification, once more a Reaper, but sealed away and closely monitored by the Executor. She acted through no will of her own, as her soul was trapped by noise. However, she was still able to send messages to the proxy using her Latin trailer ability. The noise binding her is now gone. If the damage to her plush vessel can be fixed, her soul will be free. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, is it basically saying that Haz is the conductor, or excuse me, the composer of Shinjuku? but I'm still kind of confused as to why he wanted to send the Executor, aka Kubo, to purify the city. Like, the whole idea of the purification and all that, I know they explain it, but it still kind of goes past me a little bit. I don't know. The Shibuya River is known to be a unique place, even amongst the entities of the higher plane. Its source is in Shinjuku, meaning it should have disappeared in the purification, and yet it continues to flow unseen in its own plane. What an excellent idea to hide souls there to spare them from purification. Kaiichi Suzuki, I believe is Suzukichi, I think, loved the game and cared for his compatriots more than any of the other Shinjuku Reapers. His actions leave no room for doubt. Most of the Shinjuku Reapers maintain the close bonds they shared back in Shinjuku. I know not what kind of Reaper Shiba Miyakaze was before being warped by the Executor, but judging by the Shinjuku Reaper's unflinching devotion to him, he must have been exceptionally charismatic. It is yet unknown if Shiba Miyakaze will be released from the Executor's influence at the end of the game. Even if he does manage to return to his former self, he will be forced to face the tragic reality that the loss of his friends was brought about by his own actions. Neku Sakuraba is wary of the proxy's powers. The pin continues to endlessly absorb and generate distortions. Absorb, but not destroy. They are likely being stored for some purpose. I wonder what the composer thinks of all this. There is still no sign of movement from him. Does he have a plan at all? Tomorrow will tell. The planar distortions caused by replay were all part of the Executor's plan to purify Shibuya. The condition of the proxy and his comrades has taken a sudden turn for the worse. The ability to turn distorted energy into noise is entirely unique. It is likely latent to the Executor, either allowing him to create noise or granting him some comparable power. In essence, the distortions were once souls. They manifest from the thoughts and lost time of those whose timelines were cut off from canonical history. The proxy's pin stores the distortions born from each abandoned timeline, causing them to behave similarly to their source thoughts and birth new distortions. In other words, the pin allows the distortions to grow and multiply with each journey back in time. The birds the proxy saw are new distortions spawned from these stored in the pin, giving an order compliant and readily storable form. Generally, souls need a catalyst in order to take form. The Executor's pin must be the catalyst in this case, generating noise in advance and transplanting the distortion's imagination into them. The Executor is exceptionally adept at handling noise. There is a strong possibility that the noise's present bird form is temporary and will change at some point. In its shape is undefined and constantly changing, the proxy and his team would have a tough battle ahead of them. Shibuya is in grave danger. Shibuya has received a new visitor, one that even the composer must not have expected. It is the very same individual who drew up the report of Shinjuku's inversion. But why would he come to Shibuya? Probably not to take care of the Executor. Whatever business he may have, Tanzo Kubo can wait until after the purification. It seems that Shinjuku's composer, one Hazuki Migage, has eliminated the Executor's noise and given the proxy another chance. I have an idea as to why. Shibuya's composer must be shaking his head right now. I finally determined that what was causing the proxy's soul to stagnate. His fear of taking responsibility. When reliable allies such as Minamoto, Daisuke Nojo Bito, and Neku Sakuraba appeared and took the reins, the relief of being freed from responsibility stilled the proxy's mind. Ironic that it was the famously unsympathetic composer of Shinjuku that led me to this conclusion. Shibuya now owes its continued existence to the proxy's use of replay to undo its destruction. It is up to the proxy to decide whether or not to turn back time. He undeniably has that right. Shibuya has withstood destruction, but now stands to face an even greater danger. The challenge before us is one that we cannot refuse. The proxy's team faced a giant bird-shaped noise. It was reborn from the unstable black bird noise, which were destroyed at the order level and reassembled. This is a clear act of interference by Shinjuku's composer. It allowed the proxy and his team to focus all their efforts on one target. Each feather on the phoenix's tail is a karmic representation of a single temporal reversal. Perhaps this is the manifestation of the Shinjuku's composer's internal conflict. He has taken an interest in the proxy and his teammates, yet his desire to see Shibuya purified is unchanged. I believe that his interference, dealing with the Executor, contacting the proxy, and meddling with the distortions, was more than a simple apology to Shibuya. It provided the perfect excuse for Shibuya's composer to make a direct move on his own. However, Shibuya's composer failed to take the bait, remaining inactive to the very end. His reason for appearing to Neku Sakuraba and the others as they connected to Shibuya's imagination was not to help them, but merely to stabilize Neku Sakuraba's mind after reminding him he was there. A look over to the vibes recorded by the RNS reveals no evidence of any outside interference. The Proxy's team defeated the Phoenix Cantus through their own and Shibuya's strength. And the final report. Now that the game is over, I finally have permission to contact the composer. Several days have passed since then, and the composer has already completed 2 orders of business. One of them concerns Neku Sakuraba. Using a sample from a parallel world, one where Neku never went to Shinjuku and instead lived peacefully in the RG, oopsie-daisy, for 3 years, the composer modified the space and memories around Neku so that he may once again reside in the RG without issue. This is not particularly unusual, as the same steps must be taken when returning a Reaper to the RG. The other order of business concerns Shoka Sakurane. Her Reaper status lost, her destruction at the end of the game was all but assured. However, the composer saved her soul at the precise moment it diffused from deletion. She has been reborn in the RG in Shibuya. I believe this is a rare expression of gratitude on the composer's part. Gratitude toward a proxy, that is. The proxy has also returned safely to his life in the RG. Through him, I have learned much about the network as a simulated plane of existence, as well as its effects on a human emotion. There is no denying its use as a tool to expand one's world. However, it is up to the user to explore and experience that expanded world for themselves, lest it remain a mere simulation. Enjoy the present, and keep moving forward. Perhaps by refusing to interfere, the composer meant to convey to Shibuya the importance of accepting your circumstances and taking action yourself. I have one final note, directed at the proxy, Rindo Kanade. The decision you made took courage, and I thank you for it. I sincerely hope we can meet in person someday. Maybe in The World Ends With You 3, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Whew! Okay. That took a while. But, as you saw there, or as you may have heard, these reports really do give a better glimpse of things. It maybe explains things a little bit easier, but it's nice regardless to know more about certain characters, their ambitions, etc. And frankly, even going to, like, the social network and, like, kind of learning more about them from here is actually kind of interesting. I like the little subtitles they give to them, like Neku, his thing's member of the Wicked Twisters. Like, really? I felt they could have given him something else. But, you know, we have Joshua, who's the composer of Shibuya. We have Haz, he is Shinjuku's purifier, aka Shinjuku's conductor. Excuse me, composer. I keep getting those two mixed up like crazy. Or like for Shiki, the Gato Nero founder and designer, which is freaking awesome. So, yeah, a lot has really has come to light here, and like it does kind of make it open that they can do more with the game or the series. Now, is that what people want? We'll see. But I feel like this game was received fairly well. The gripe I have against it is it just takes a while to get into, and I don't know if a lot of people are willing to do that. Like, it's not a few hours, it's a good number of hours until you get to the meat and bones, and it's like, ooh, wow, this is actually really, really, really cool. So, there's that. Anyway, with all the secret reports read, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try. Actually, hold on a minute. I need to beat this day one more time. I'm gonna make this go as easy as possible. I have my Black Cat Ensemble set on. I have it on easy. I'm level 100. Hopefully I can defeat this thing really quick. So I will meet you guys back, I guess, when we beat the game again. I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, as you see, I just beaten the final chapter, and I went through all the credits, and this is it right here.
Bit late to come groveling back, wouldn't you say, friend?
My apologies, friend. I never intended Shibuya any harm. But rest assured that as Shinjuku's composer, I have personally eliminated the cause of the problem. Is that enough to earn your forgiveness?
I appreciate you exercising the executor from the UG. But you really ought to be more scrupulous when engaging with the lower planes. Nobody likes a messmaker.
And all this time, I thought I was following in your footsteps.
Then you might need to watch where you're walking. Speaking of which, I saw you took a stroll around the city. Did you and Rindo have an illuminating conversation?
Weren't you watching?
Only a little.
I offered him an apology and asked him a few questions.
What about?
I thought he might understand why you opposed Shibuya's cleansing, so I asked what he thought about the city, hoping to glean some insight.
Another mess finally made. And, was it insightful?
Not to the extent I would have liked. I still don't understand. Humans are the most irrational beings. That said, I was a bit surprised myself with how our conversation ended. For some reason, the boy was ready to risk everything for an unproven possibility. And all I could do was remind him to take responsibility for whatever decision he made. Almost as if I were encouraging him to take that risk.
Sounds like you acted a bit irrationally yourself.
I did indeed. Even entrusted him with that powerful pin, if you can believe it.
Well, you aren't alone. I too have fallen victim to that irrationality before.
Why do you think that is?
I can't say for sure, but one thing I've noticed is that every time I watch them try to overcome the absurdity of their world, I just can't help but hope they succeed.
Okay, I guess that was it. Yay! I think I was expecting more, frankly. I was kind of like hoping, like, is there a nod to a third game? Which maybe the secret reports kind of hinted that, because we never met the author of those reports, not in this game, and it was just completely absent in this game. And it's like, oh, that would have been nice to see what his overall role was going to be, because, like, I think they say he's the producer, and frankly, I keep forgetting what the producer's role is when it comes to, like, the composer and a conductor and all that stuff. It's fun days. And apparently this image is like a secret ending to Another Day. I guess you get it by doing all the optional stuff, like the time trial, defeating the super boss, the final dive, or like the dive of rhyme, and I thought there was something else that we did and that was somewhat optional. But regardless, that's how you get this, I guess. Anyway. So yeah, save, please. It's gonna bother me that it says 99%, but guys, I really don't feel like doing that those fights, on Another Day, on, like, the hard and ultimate. I just, no, I'm good. But ladies and gentlemen, frankly, that's it. Unless they have DLC for this game, which I'm kind of hoping they don't, but unless they get something like that going, this has been pretty much the entirety of The World Ends With Neo, The World Ends With You. I mean, I thought I gave my overall thoughts and opinions and whatnot of it, but I really did love this game. I mean, I was skeptical when I saw the look of it. I'm like, oh, how the hell is this going to translate well into 3D? And it did spectacularly well. So it just gives me high hopes to see what Square and others can do with it in the future. And I guess it's also really cool that I was able to platinum yet another game. I don't think this game was super hard to platinum. It says here ultra rare, 4.6%. That's not bad, I think, to platinum a game. 4.6% of players. I don't know, but a lot of these are not terrible. You know, like story related, complete the game here, and another day getting the secret reports, which, you know, not that bad if you like take care of the boss noise and get the social network going. The reduction battle, like this can take time. The 20 reduction chain battle, that took a while. I don't know where I did it at, to be quite honest with you guys, but I did it. Killer remix. I'm trying to see if there's any hints I can get for any of these trophies, but frankly, a lot of them are pretty just self-explainable here. Every type of enemy basically just fights everything. Another day as well, including the super boss. That's the thing. 80% of the enemy dossiers, I mean, basically do really well in getting easy, normal, hard pins, and then some of the ultimate. Not everything, only the 80%, but I'm kind of glad it's not 100%. That would have really sucked. So I think they were pretty generous in doing this 80%. The VIP level was actually pretty damn easy. That just comes very naturally, in my opinion. Buying every fashion item and every pin relies more so on getting those tradable items like Fermion and Delaton and all that stuff. It shouldn't be that bad, but I can understand it being a little blech. So there's that. It's not hard to exceed fullness at all. Become a regular. I think I show that on screen. Wearing a full outfit, just put every slot. Use a single brand is pretty damn easy. Full outfits, because that's including Neku, I believe. Unlocks all of the full outfit's abilities, which comes with getting style. Boy, this one just over 100 style, getting over 999,000 yen, which is super easy at this point. Level 100, in my opinion, comes naturally. Mastering pins, this is just tedious. You know, like I was so happy when I finally got, you know, pin perfection. The 6-pin set is the Black Cat Ensemble. Collecting all the pins, I think, just kind of goes one-on-one a little bit. Especially if you're mastering these, you might as well get the rest. Evolving it, getting all CDs is not bad at all if you just buy them, literally. The dive missions, I think, you know, once you have a good set, you're good to go on this. They're not terribly difficult. Pig noise, especially when you have the pig radar and all that, not hard at all. Now, you know what? The remind images. Now, it's not terribly hard to do this because a lot of it is story-based, and a lot of it is actually side quest-based. The big one, I guess, that people end up missing a lot is the Urban Legends chapter, where you're going around getting points for the Reaper. The thing is, you don't need to do all those missions, but if you do, you get a bunch of remind images and a reward. Now, besides that, there's also, I believe, I think it's in the week 1. I don't know if it's day 4 or 5. It's where you're getting cornered by the Deep River Society members, and you have to go back in time to like dwindle their numbers. One of them was trying to remember a code. Like, what's their code? Like the river runs swift and clear, something like that. Well, the thing is, I got it right on my first try. If you guess it wrong, then you can do a remind image, and that's where I was missing. So if you're missing one, try this. Like, try going back and doing that that day over and getting it wrong on purpose. Same thing with the Scramble Slam rewards. I'd say wait until post game. You know, put it on ultimate difficulty, because putting on ultimate is not going to be bad because you're facing really weak enemies anyway. So put on ultimate, get some good beat drops going, and you'll earn this without too much of an issue. It just takes a while, but there you go. This comes naturally, in my opinion. Same thing with that. Getting the actual network rewards, I mean, that revolves around getting all the friendship points, so it shouldn't be too bad. And a final time trial, I just cheesed it, obviously, so yeah, there you go. Whew. I can finally take this game out of my console. It has been occupying my PS5 for ages, but that is okay. Now I gotta figure out what the hell I want to do next, and I have a couple ideas, especially now that it's October. I'll think about it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is literally all I can just about show you when it comes to Neo, The World Ends With You. I really hope you all enjoyed this as much as I did. It's sad to see it go, but I'm happy to have spent the time I have with it. And, yeah, it was just a fun ride for us all. So, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. And I'll see you for whatever the hell I plan to do next. I love you all so much. Have a great day.